I am Cheyenne Hollis. This is Interesting Asia, and it is a rainy day, as you can tell, here in Kuala Lumpur. I am at the Alila Bangsar Hotel in the city's Brickfields neighborhood. This is a relatively new property operated under the Hyatt brand, and it's part of a mixed-use development which features the S condominium, and it's connected to the Bangsar LRT line that's a part of the KL's massive public transportation system. The weather today has not been so great, but for the most of my stay, it's been pretty pleasant overall. Enough chit chat about the weather though. What about this hotel? Is it worth staying at? Is it a good value for money? What's it like inside? Well, come with me as I answer all of those questions and more. Let's explore the Alila Bangsar Hotel. Alila Bangsar Kuala Lumpur is certainly different. From its location near Brickfields to its minimalist, nature-inspired design. A lot of effort has gone into making sure this hotel stands out. What will catch most people's attention, however, is the price. Despite being a Hyatt property, staying at Alila Bangsar won't break the bank. In fact, my stay in November set me back approximately $75 a night. That rate is actually not unusual to find on the hotel's website for most weeks. So, what gives? What gives is most likely the location, which won't be everyone's cup of tea. The hotel is adjacent to the Bangsar and Brickfields neighborhoods, which isn't exactly the most well-traveled part of KL, at least in theory. The hotel is connected to the LRT Red Line via the Bangsar station and happens to be one stop away from both KL Sentral and KL Eco City. Around the hotel, there is not much happening. It is a high-rise surrounded by a primarily residential area. The MOA Bangsar office complex is close by with a few different shops and eateries, but that's about it. Not being within walking distance of the city's main sites may not be your preference, although I didn't really mind. Alila Bangsar Kuala Lumpur takes up the top 6 floors of the Est condominium building, although each has a separate lobby, elevators, and amenities, so there's no overlap. The hotel has 2 restaurants, an all-day dining option on the ground floor, and a dinner-focused eatery with a bar next to the lobby. I did not eat at either during my stay. A foyer greets guests on the ground level where they will catch an elevator up to the lobby on the 41st floor. This lobby isn't particularly spacious and the seating is kinda awkward if I'm being honest. It's not terrible, but it's not exactly comfortable either. Additionally, another foyer can be found just outside the elevator of each floor, and this has a coffee machine, cups, and all that good stuff, as well as some extra seating. The coffee, it isn't amazing, but I have had much worse at much fancier hotels. That's something, I suppose. Moving on to the amenities, the fitness center is a pretty decent size, focusing mainly on cardio equipment. The weight area takes up a small corner of the room, which limits the number of people who can lift at any one time. As for the swimming pool, well, it isn't all that big either, but the area is more geared towards hanging out than taking a dip. There are various areas to lounge around the pool and take in the skyline views. This is what most folks would prefer to do anyway. I stayed in a studio room at the Alila Bangsar Kuala Lumpur on this occasion. It is the hotel's entry-level room type and takes up 38 square meters. The accommodations seem much bigger than that due to a clever bathroom design and an emphasis on what I'm going to call the winter garden space, but what essentially functions as a separate work area. You can call it whatever you'd like. Once inside your room, the attention is immediately going to the windows, making it feel like the entire city is at your fingertips. Interestingly, I stayed during the Diwali holiday, which also gave me a front row seat to the fireworks shows happening in Brickfields and other parts of KL. That was pretty cool. Ultimately, I spent quite a bit of time working in the winter garden area or simply lounging on the couch here. This space is exceptional. The design really does an excellent job of utilizing the view and makes it something beyond a window you occasionally gander at into something much more functional and just feels like a real part of your accommodations. Beyond that, Hyatt beds and pillows are always amazing, and the bathroom had plenty of toiletries. Finally, a nice note from the general manager and some butter cookies welcomed me upon my arrival to the room. I really enjoy small touches like that. It's not much, but I still appreciate it nonetheless. It's still raining here a bit. You might even be able to hear some of the thunder in the background. I'm not going to put the weather on my pros and cons list, but let's take a look at some of the pros and cons of the Alila Bangsar Hotel. Personally, the pros that stick out to me are the views. There is not a bad view in the house. Everything has been maximized. There's no really tall buildings around from the hotel element because it's on the top 6 floors of the building. I don't even really need to discuss them. You can see the views for themselves. They're pretty spectacular. The second pro is just the design of the rooms in particular. They're very spacious, they're very large. The bathroom area, I think, has a nice shape to it. It's a square, but just how the shower's been placed and the toilet's been placed, everything works really well. There's no wasted space, and I really enjoy the winter terrace, I guess you can call it. I know it has like a million different names, as I mentioned already. That space for working with the desk and the views are really cool. It just, if you're coming here on business, or you're a person like me who does a lot of work in their rooms, having a space like that almost feels disconnected from the bedroom area is greatly appreciated. And to me, that was a huge bonus of staying at this particular property. Final pro is the price. I am surprised at just how affordable these rooms are given the quality and obviously being under the Hyatt banner. Perhaps the location is one of the things driving down the price. You're not connected to KL Sentral, you're not connected to KL Eco City and everything just one stop away, but they're both just one stop away on the LRT. So for me, the location isn't a negative at all. I found it to be quite a cool location. You're still close to everything. You're connected to the public transportation system, but you're far enough away just out of that hustle and bustle, especially KL Sentral and Brickfields, where there's just always stuff happening. It was nice to still be close, but a bit removed there. So the price may be a little cheaper because it's not, that prime location, but to me, I find the price to be great value, and I really enjoyed it with the location. So definitely consider that when you are thinking about making a reservation. You're not connected to those big areas, but you're right there, and perhaps this is why it's a little more affordable than some of the other properties just down the street. Finally, the cons. To me, there's only one con, and it's a nitpick, but it's a kind of a big nitpick for me. You have to take 3 elevators to go from the public transit line to your room. So if you're coming from the Bangsar station, you'll take one elevator to go down to the lobby, and then from the lobby you have to take another elevator up to get to the main lobby on the 41st floor, and then from there you got to take another elevator to get down to your room. Your best case scenario navigating all of this is 5 minutes from that first elevator to room. I've had other occasions though, when there's other people getting on or off and you're not getting in the elevator, where you're looking at 10 minutes, 12 minutes. It wasn't always an inconvenience for me, but there was one time in particular on my second night here where it was just, I just wanted to get back to my room, and you're just surrounded by all these people, and it's very awkward riding with someone in 3 elevators, and it's taking you 10 minutes to get to your room, and it's a production. It's just an entire production that I do not particularly care for. Like, I know that I've stayed at other hotels that have been similar, but man, just taking 3 elevators to get to your room, it's no fun. The second con, and it's on, ironically, the small side, for me personally, is that it's a smaller hotel. There's only 5 floors of rooms, so there's not a lot of extra space. The lobbies are a little smaller. Everything feels a little more condensed. It wasn't a huge issue for me. There were only a few times when there were like a lot of people out and about where you kind of notice it and you think, you just kind of like would prefer it to be a little quieter, have a little more privacy. But again, it wasn't a huge thing, and it wouldn't prevent me from staying here again. The Alila Bangsar Hotel is a definite stay again for me. The price combined with the awesome views and the location, it all comes together for just an entire experience I really enjoyed despite the 3 elevators. That being said, your mileage may vary when it comes to this specific hotel. If you would prefer something maybe a little closer to malls or other spots in the city, and you don't want to necessarily have to take a metro line down one station to be in a popular area, it may not be that convenient for you. Simultaneously, if you like having bigger spaces or you want more amenities or anything of that nature, it may be a little too small and boutique for your needs and your requirements. Personally though, I quite liked it. I think it is something worth considering, especially if you just like having a hotel where you can just sit and enjoy some awesome views. I have one more night here to enjoy. My stay's not quite over just yet, so I will bid you adieu. I'm Cheyenne Hollis. This is Interesting Asia. If you would like to see more Interesting Asia stays, you can check out the playlist in the upper right hand corner of your screen right now. And finally, most importantly, as always, keep it interesting.